Hello everyone, welcome back. Tonight I'm going to dive back into a little bit of the material design and XAML work. I would like to try and get a release polished up and ready to go. Now that we've got the NuGet keys and everything publishing, see last week's stream for the GitHub Actions work. The only thing that's really remaining on the GitHub Actions is to add in one more bit that will do an actual full publish rather than a preview NuGet package. But the fact that we can get the fact that we can get preview NuGet packages all the way up to NuGet.org means that there should be no issue there. It's just a matter of getting all the bits wired up. So I figured tonight I would look at the remaining issues, since there's one in particular with the combo box that is just notorious and will not die. But before we get to that, a couple announcements. First of all, Spokane.net user group. For those people who may not have seen this before, I'm in Spokane, Washington. This is the local .NET group. Not surprising. I like to participate and enjoying it. This next one coming up on September 14th, my boss, Mark Michaelis, and I are going to be talking about nullable reference types in C#. So that's a fairly new feature if you aren't familiar with it. It's going to pretty much be everything you need to know from zero to up and running. So a lot of it is fairly simple and straightforward, but there are some gotchas with it, especially if you aren't overly familiar with that feature. So if you are interested at all, feel free. Both of these events, by the way, are free and available both in person and online. So if you are interested, go ahead and sign up. The next one just got posted earlier today and is actually a month out. So it's not going to be September, it's going to be October. C# Calamity. So this is my way of trying to teach some C# features in we'll call it entertaining and fun manner. So I wrote arguably the worst code I have ever written in my entire life, which was a fun challenge to try and see what levels of crazy could be achieved when you really set your mind to it. And I tried to write as very simple as possible, but the intent of it is to kind of peel back the absurdity of it all and use that as a means to actually understand various C# compiler features and how they work. So that will be that one there. If either of those sound interesting to you, go ahead and sign up. Like I said, both in person and online, so if you aren't local, by all means. They will also show up on IntelliTech, let's see, YouTube, on this YouTube channel. So they will get posted here at some point after they are done. So we were working on getting the AV setup forum rolling today, so hopefully we get good, nice, better looking recordings. Okay, with that, material design and XAML. Let's go that direction. Okay, so there are a few and maybe we start with the pull requests. So this guy here. So there is one thing that's really interesting to me, and I don't know quite how to solve it. So you'll note that this pull request has 0 checks on it, and this pull request has 1 check on it, where it runs the pull request validation. The reason here is with GitHub Actions, there is a limitation in that something done by a GitHub action cannot recursively trigger another action, which can be a bit of a problem, because I've got one action, and if we look over here, we just dive over here and look. So this icon update, this is the one that's ultimately generating those pull requests. So every night, this thing goes off to materialdesignicons.net, downloads the latest icons, and if there's any updates, opens a pull request to bring them into the library. That way the library stays up to date. You know, I'm never more than 24 hours out of date, or a little bit more, depends on when I merge the pull request. But it keeps the icons fresh, and we don't have this issue of, hey, you know, I see this on the website, but I don't see it in the library. Yeah, that's gone, which is great. That's exactly what we want. But because this pull request was triggered by an action, the action to validate pull requests is not triggered. I'm kind of okay with it. If this ever does cause a problem, it will get it'll get automatically picked up at the point that the merge occurs, because this one, once the merge occurs into the master branch, will trigger. So there's that. Okay, let's start with getting some of these other ones, because there are some good fixes in here, and we will check these out. So this issue here, and I don't think I moved it yet. So let's get this issue into the milestone. Got it. So this here is following this feature. Date picker seems to be missing the header and background. Oh, that's a fun bug. Header background, header foreground. That cleans that up. Oh, so it was just because there was a second style. I'm a little curious as to how this fixes it. Let's check this pull request out real quick. So we're gonna come over here. Everybody's favorite Git Kraken. Let's see. I don't know why I have that installed. It's a great tool, but not for this project. We do not need it here. Let's pull this guy up and get him on the latest. Okay, so pull request. So we're gonna come in here and let's just do checkout. And how about calendar? Boom. So this guy here, and that's not the project I want. I would like this project. So this doesn't look bad, and I like that this adds in another option into the demo app to help make it easier. But I am wondering if there should be a UI test on this as well. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, so step one. Let's launch this guy up and just go look at that demo app bit to make sure that it does in fact do as we expect. Come on, compile. I know we just set our branch pointer way back to here. Work in progress on group box. Huh. Have to look at that. I don't remember what I was doing. Oh, and pipeline work is now dead, so we can delete pipeline work. Delete, and apparently I left that out on the remote. That's not good. Let's clean that up. Clean up my branches. This I think I want to keep for now, because I think that's the combo box issue. Okay, so something about pickers. Okay, and now I have to actually look and see where exactly this got placed. So a date picker with a hint assist of custom. See, is that enough? Custom. Hint assist custom hint. That's not it. Where are you? Cancel. 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 Preset time picker. Is 24-hour, blah blah blah. Why am I not seeing this thing? Okay. Header foreground. Foreground white. Background not white. Am I just... Oh. Nested. Nested, nested, nested. Haha. I bet you we're buried in here. Got it. Okay, so this is what we're looking for, I believe. So what are you inside of? Classic with material design theme, picker, stack panel, pickers 1, pickers 2. Oh, so this is actually... So that would be date picker, pick date. How? Hint, custom hint. Am I just blind? Okay, I'm gonna go make sure this thing is actually in my compiled source, because I am not... I must be just straight up missing it. Okay, so let's take a look. So pickers, and this guy is line 56, it looks like. Let's go down here. 56. And this is not... Okay, that's why I'm not seeing it, because it is not there. Open source strikes again. Hey, Oxenate. Yeah, try it. I must have done... Oh, did I check out the wrong pull request? Okay, just reset local. It is convinced that this is the commit. Adding settings for... This... No, this is not the commit. Something is very, very not right. Because that pull request does not match this. Check out... Oh, is it because... Oh, I bet you it's because I... Oh, hang on. Yes, this is... grumble, 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 grumble. Okay, so we're going to remove that. Let's try... Add remote and check out that. Reset local to here. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Yes. Okay. I need to remember to record this as an issue. So, if you are like me and you keep track of a whole bunch of remotes in here and oftentimes just mark them as not visible, Get Kraken sometimes gets very, very confused. So that's exciting. Okay, that should be better. Reload. And then we can go through and try this. All I wanted to do is see this thing work. I now feel better for not seeing the picker. It's like the change was very simple. It was add a picker to the demo app. More importantly, it should have a hint of custom. And it should be right after the first one, between number 1 and number 2. Should not be hard. Come on, Visual Studio. Booyah, bippity day. Come on. Do we have a compile error? What are you doing? Or did I just fail to hit the button? Compile. Should not be hard. The pipeline passed, so the code should be good. Or at least good enough to compile. Okay. Let's take a look here. This guy. Open. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Perfect. See that? Shows the header, shows the color. We check here. We can see that this guy here is set up with a lot of styles, but the important part is this actually shows some of the extra settings that can be leveraged for selection color and selection foreground color. Let's just do a quick spot check on the rest of these to make sure these actually look correct. Which that one I believe is supposed to be hidden header. Yep, header visible false. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Okay, there. All of that work, easy approve. Easy approve. Squash merge, squash merge. Let's go take a look at the other one, and then we'll go back to the combo box. Paper variant group boxes. Oh, was this one ever... I need to circle back on this. Okay, I need to circle back on this and see where we're at on this one. This one's been a little bit of back and forth. Okay. Okay, so abandoning all that, let's go here. So, really what I'd like to do is to get this guy wrapped up. Let's see. Didn't we just resolve this? Oh, yeah. This is now... So, this was a bug and closed. Okay, so that's done. That's done. Let's do... Sorry, 1 second. Okay, issues, milestone, and one of these two, but I think this one's probably easiest. Okay, so release works well when hit test visible false for items presenter inside this guy. This part, and I mark this as evaluation required. Do not work as expected with this XAML code and ignore the hit test visible. So what is going on here? I'm going to edit this real quick. So pro tip, when doing markdown, 3 ticks will let you do a code block rather than inline code. And actually we can go one step further. If I go edit and go XAML, we'll get some friendlier highlighting. Okay, so that's a little easier to read. So what we've got here is a control template with a border and a scroll viewer and an items presenter with hit test visible false. So, a couple thoughts that I have just reading this is a control template like this is going to override the material design control template. So the issue would not be inside of the data grid template directly, because this here will completely override whatever is in the material design data grid template. The scroll viewer here is a potential issue in that these ones could be picking up implicit templates. The interesting part to me is this comment about how this part is not working. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually spin a quick project in my examples repo, and we'll take a look at it. Because I want to be able to spin this at the exact version of the library that the issue references. Apparently I've got some outstanding changes, whatever. Okay, so let's start here. This will be fine. We'll just pick on one of these. So manage NuGet packages, and I want to get the same version that's referenced here. So they said 410.2.556. So let's start there. Let's see. Oh, I haven't updated a lot of my libraries. I've thought about trying to go through and keep my examples up to date with latest material design ones, and then I realized sometimes it's actually kind of handy to be able to not do that. Let's see, 410.2.556. It's interesting. Current public release. This is not the public release. So I'm assuming though, and we'll double check here in just a minute, but I'm guessing so with the way that the Azure DevOps pipeline was working, is it would take the same build that the preview was done with and just change the NuGet version. So I'm guessing that is gonna, if I look at the assembly version, that's what it's going to have on there. So we'll update it and we can confirm that. What is your problem here? iProject remote. Huh? Output. That is not the bug. Update. Trust me, you can do this update. I promise. Huh? Okay. I've just lost patience for this project and moving right along. Let's find one that's updated a little newer. So specifically looking for something that isn't using the old packages. Style stuff. Don't want to see a packages. You will work. Manage NuGet packages. Actually, I probably don't even need to do that. I'm a little surprised that, wow. Okay, some of you. So this guy here, we can actually whack that and we can just go with 4.1.0. Boom. Go and load yourself. You should figure it out. That should load that up. That should pick up the colors theme. Great. Okay, now that everybody's happy about that, let's come over here and let's powwow with the data grid. Real quick, before I get too carried away, set a startup. Okay, so that cleans that up. Oh, we were doing data grid, not dialog host. Oops, well, doesn't matter. We're going to whack everything anyway. So, data grid. And then let's just grab this whole little bit here. So, data grid template. We're just going to inline this guy. Scroll viewer template. It's going to be a little hard to know exactly what that was. What are you unhappy about? Oh, it's missing that. Let's clean that up real quick, because that is clearly just missing the slash there. Okay, so data grid, and maybe I really should have picked on I saw D's and got a little carried away. Yeah, let's go pick on this one, because this is already wired up for data. Okay, but we are going to just steal this little bit of work that, not a lot of work, but we'll steal a little bit of it. Set a startup project, main window, and let's come over here. So we're just going to get rid of whatever that's doing because we don't want it. Sure, we can leave that there. We can leave all of you there. And we can put you there. And we can clean up. Hang on. Hang on. I'll clean it up. Okay. So is hit test visible? So for anybody who may not be familiar with that property, inside of WPF, hit test visible is all about what is underneath my cursor. So when you do things like click, the WPF system has to figure out, okay, what did you actually click on? Because you've got all of these UI elements and they're laid out, but knowing which thing is directly under your cursor as well as which thing's on top of that stack, sometimes the UI element that's actually at the top of the stack isn't something that should be interacted with. It should be the thing below it. You could imagine like the ripple control that we have in material design. Sometimes you don't want the ripple control to be directly interacted with. You want the button underneath it to be what actually receives that click. Excuse me. So it's not too uncommon to set hit test visible to false on items that aren't intended to be interacted with. This one's a little weird simply because of that, but okay, so that kind of looks like it works. Let me just confirm that those items are interactable without this, which I assume they would be. Yep, so now we can interact with the items. Okay, and then just one last thing to confirm. I want to confirm that the version of that DLL that is actually being used is in fact, let's see, properties, details, 4102556. So yes, so that is current production release. What are these squiggles for? Oh, it's because I commented and uncommented. That should be like that. Okay. I'm afraid I'm gonna need more information. Okay, so we're gonna come back here. Able to replicate the problem only using that XAML snippet. Can't spell, that's okay. I modified the example here, and we will leave a link to that sample project. So examples. Let's see, data grid, selected row. So we'll link straight in here, such that the main window.xaml looks like this. We'll do that, and then we will just grab the entire block of XAML. So that's now enough information to the overridden template in place. I am not able to interact with the data grid cells. I believe is expected. Okay. Okay, there. So let's see, comment, and then we're going to change labels from bug to wait on feedback. Boom. And I'm going to take it out of the milestone. I put it in there because it looked like it had been a regression, but that looks like it is not a regression, in fact. So, okay, back to this ugly guy, 2340, and I think this is the one where I had started on before. Okay, so first of all, we're going to reset master hard to that commit. I'm going to start removing my remotes because I've got too many of these things and they are constantly biting me. There. Okay. That gets me there. Oh, one other thing I want to show off, because I talked about this on stream last week, but I got it working and I was quite proud of it. So we're going to take a moment to show it off. So we had done the GitHub Actions last week where we had the pull request validation and we had the I'm trying to remember how far I got. We had the desire to have a nice nightly release that kicked off on a schedule, which that was easy enough to do. The hard part was I wanted to only actually kick that nightly release off in the event that there was a change. Let's see if I can adjust that a little bit. And so we got that working. So nightly release. So I got a little clever. So I have this job here that does a check for changes, and it has an output of has changed. That's it. Very simple. Inside of here, it does two things. One, it has to do the checkout, because if it doesn't do the checkout, the agent running this GitHub action has no code, has no repo there. So you need this to actually get the repo, and then set the fetch depth to 0. Just for speed. And then down here, very similar to what I had shown before of what I was imagining doing, pulling the hashes off of here, doing a comparison, and then this one bit me a little bit, is the comparison here, even though this is a straight up bool and PowerShell, once you start doing this, it converts itself to a string, or at least that was the behavior I saw. But this then sets the output of has changed to either upper or lowercase true or false, which goes here. This is a job starting on 17 all the way through here, and you'll note there's a second job called build. First of all, it has a need set on it, which is a dependency. So this job can't run until after check for changes has run, which is great because you could have a bunch of jobs and like execute stuff in parallel. So you have to be able to build a dependency tree around them, which is great. So it has to wait on that. And then more importantly, this job only executes if that output is true, which is perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping for. So if that output is true, you'll note this was based entirely around checking on the presence of a tag called nightly release. And so if it finds that there are changes, at the very end of this, the last thing it does is it'll take that nightly release tag and move it. Now, in general, with GitHub repos, tags aren't supposed to move. That's bad. Right? Like, that is not a good thing. And I thought about doing this with branches and doing merges and that kind of thing. I'm like, you know, I don't really want to do that. Tags are lightweight, but fair warning, don't point anything at this tag. This tag is now special and is going to move around, which is something you normally don't do with Git tags because they're intended to point to a given commit and stay there. Problem is, in this case, it's legitimately going to move possibly every single night. So, but if you see that tag hanging out there, like here with this nightly release, this was done on 9/1, which I believe, what's today's date? The 2nd. So this was last night's one that happened. And now we've done a couple. And when this pipeline kicks off later tonight, what should happen is it'll detect the change, go ahead and do that preview NuGet release, move the tag up, and then if nothing merges for a few days, that's fine. It'll just hang out. Which would be awesome. Okay, so let's go here and ComboBox action. ComboBox action. Okay, so I'm going to have to reset and remember because this has been now how long since I touched this? Fix 2340. So this is where this is at. Let's start with rebasing this guy onto master, I think. What is this guy doing here? That's just a fuchsia background. That's not overly helpful, but I think it kind of is. Let's leave that there for the moment, but I'd like to rebase this onto master. So for those people unfamiliar with Rebase, what this ends up doing is it takes those two commits that I had here, backs up until it gets onto master, resets the base, effectively the starting point, because this commit here was the base of these two commits previously, changes the base to here, and then replays those commits one at a time. So as though I had just started making these changes now, which means if there was going to be any conflicts, this is when they would show up. Okay, and then we are going to force push this guy, because when you do that kind of thing, you rewrite history, and that's generally bad. And so let's pop this stash off, and we'll start here. We will start here. So we don't need the examples repo anymore. That can go away. Let's come back over here. So reload. Yes, I understand. I just ripped out the foundation underneath you. Your world is unhappy. We'll fix that. We will fix that. Okay, so let's reset ourselves and recall what exactly this bug is in the first place. That's right. So this is one of those interesting cases with combo boxes. So in this case, the user had placed a combo box inside of a menu, which is normally not a big deal, except for, and I'm doing this from memory here, but the click events, just like we were just talking about with the hit test visible. When you click, some controls, when they receive that event, do stuff with them. So previously, ComboBox was going through and I believe blocking all clicks from making it all the way through. I can't remember. It was either blocking them from getting through and it shouldn't, or it wasn't blocking them and it should, or one of the two directions. I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah, so there is contention between allowing the cursor to interact with the editable text box versus controlling the pop-up state. And this is one of those, I almost want to take a stab at redoing the ComboBox template wholesale. Let's do that, because this is the ComboBox. I know there. I'm only saying this because I know there's a few other bugs sitting in the backlog that I wasn't planning on addressing. New ComboBox template. So let's back this guy up a little, and we're gonna just discard this change. I don't think that fuchsia is overly relevant. Okay, so let's go here and look at combo boxes. So combo boxes have many states that they can possibly be in. What is this? Why is this so ugly? Probably need to fix that. That looks bad. What is different about this? Only difference is editable. True, because this is just hint stuff. need to look at this one here in a moment. But combo boxes has several states. One, you can do this picker option. Wow, is this thing just broken? Hang on, I'm gonna recompile. After I change my branch, I don't know if it appropriately brought me backwards, because that could have legitimately just been a bug on that. Okay, so ComboBox. There we go. That's what it should look like. So you can pick this, and within material design, there are several layers to this combo box. So you've got your default combo box, and you'll note as I pick items here, the selected item moves out of its position in the combo box up to the top. That's simple mode number 1. It gets a little more complex when you start having things like this. So you'll note there's this text box that I can type into, and you'll note this text box is both editable both while the pop-up is open and while the pop-up is closed, which aligns with the WPF editable combo box. The hard part here is how you handle that. So in normal WPF mode, this text box just lives wherever the combo box does, and a pop-up is shown below it with the items. So the pop-up isn't necessarily related to this. However, here what we have is, and I don't know if it's obvious. Let me switch to light theme. I think it's a little more obvious in light theme. Yeah. Here, you'll note the pop-up surrounds the text box. So what the template does right now is in that pop-up, it actually tries to cut a hole out and position itself such that that hole is right over the top of the text box. The problem is that's hard to do accurately, especially when you start dealing with like sub-pixel rendering and not using layout rounding. This thing doesn't line up, and the number of times we've had bugs where the thing shifts just slightly. Sometimes it's in the library, and sometimes it's in the user code of who's using the library, but it's really hard to tell, and it's a pain in the neck. I have dreamed of having a version of this template that does not do this. That instead of doing this, what it does is it lifts a copy of the text box up and then puts it back. That's my dream. That's the dream. I think it's obtainable. I don't know for sure. I think it is. But that's where I think I would like to do, is try to write a template that does this, and works but puts the text box inside of the pop-up rather than behind it. The other one that bites all the time is with colors. Because this thing is cutting a hole all the way down, right now it's easy to hide that hole because the backgrounds are the same color. But as soon as that background down here changes, now you have a problem and you can see the hole. It's no bueno. So let's see how obtainable that is. That's where I think I want to try and do this, because this combo box has been a thorn in my side since I have started working on this library. And I've dreamed of changing it, but it's also one of the more complex templates that we have here. So we are going to yeah, you'll note there's all of these pop-up control templates and all of that jazz because it needs to deal with it. Okay, so here's the text box style, and that's all fine, I think. I don't know if I need to muck with that yet. Combo box item, material design, combo box selected, collapsed, blah blah blah. Combo box toggle button, floating hint. Okay, so here's the big guy. And this is where I want to see if we can come up with a better design. Okay, so there is editable true. Show selected item. This is that bring the selected item to the top bit. Let's do here. Here is the template. Okay, so we set up an adorno layer around this guy. Let's just start breaking this apart and figuring out what are the relevant pieces. Okay, so ComboBox Popup, clear button over the top of the text box. Okay, so this canvas here is for what? The helper. Okay. Okay, so that's the underline. This border here, and this is the toggle button. So this is the drop down, up, down arrow on the side. Okay, so that's fine. Underline's fine. That's the line at the bottom. That's fine. Combo box. So it's the interaction between this combo box and this border. And you can imagine trying to get that hole positioned in the right place when you deal with padding and margin and borders and it is, let's say, complex. Okay, so this guy here, this is the editable text box. Okay, so on editable true, this guy becomes visible. Okay. And I'm thinking what we do is over here, you have a template. So there is classic mode, up and down content template, and classic content template. See, there is just so much going on here. Okay, so this is the down template. This is the one that's most likely going to trigger. Element name, height, part pop-up. This is where all that sizing starts to occur. And I think I can throw most of this away. Think about this. I think we can. I think we can. Because the whole point of most of these borders is just to bring in that nice rounded effect. So for example, this guy here is only here for the purpose of doing a shadow, so we don't care about him. This is technically the default, so we'll just get rid of that. So we've got a grid that contains a single row and technically a single column with height auto. So technically none of that's required because that's all the defaults. We've got two borders that sit one on top of the other. The first border is this one here is lower in the Z order, so it's going to be on the bottom, whereas the later one is going to sit on top. You know, this has a border thickness of 1. This has a margin of 1, just so that those things offset a little bit. And this guy is what is applying that shadow. Okay. And the only reason for this is to do the shadow with the appropriate corner radius. Okay, so what do we got going on here? So let's see, 3 auto rows, one that's going to fill and one that's at the bottom. So this is clearly going to be the one that contains all the items. This is going to be the rounded bit at the bottom. It does this maneuver. And then, let's see, so this guy sits at the top margin. Left right margin. So these just must be statics up here. Top bottom margin, left right margin. Okay, that makes sense. Give those borders some size around them. What I'm missing is where the hole is. So that's a grid there. This sits on top. That's the top thing. This grid sits here and contains the left and right stuff. Oh, is this it right here? Is this the hole? Looks like it because of how it's sized. This border sits down below it. Center extended, and then that guy there. Okay. So this guy here is the hole. And I think we can confirm that really quick. So let's grab Snoop. And let's just confirm that that is the behavior here. Because I think what I would like to do is my thought is I can probably leave a lot of this in place. And instead of having a hole, just lift the text box into the pop-up and have it cover. Because then if it's off by half a pixel in any direction, I don't care. Those margins, as we saw, are like 4 and 8. That's my margin of error. I got to get within 4 pixels. That seems a lot easier. Okay, so let's go here. Let's grab Snoop. Okay, Snoop onto the side. For anybody who didn't see, crosshairs on the binoculars, drag over the window that we care about. And then the magical keyboard shortcut, once you get Snoop open, Control-Shift. Okay, so that gets us into here. And I think what we can do is... let's see, that is there. There's the combo box. Is drop down open. Whoop. Kick that guy open for me. Oh, let's see. I need to find the pop-up and change the stays open. Oh, it's going to be a little bit problematic, isn't it? Okay, fine. Let's go here. Okay, so that's our combo box item. This is our items presenter. And there's our top separator, corner. Where is the... Oh, this is inside the content presenter, so we need to back our way up. So this is theory. There's the grid. This is what I believe is the hole. So we open it, and sure enough, this red border confirms that is, in fact, the hole. So where that grid is located, if I could lift that text box up, problem solved. Problem solved. Okay, and the other thing that gives me a little bit more control over this is this guy here isn't just a regular pop-up control. No. He's a custom pop-up. Specifically because he's got all of this offset and measuring stuff around him, which I think I leave most of this here because it would be a breaking change to remove it. And then more importantly, because I don't think I need it. But I can leverage it. How does that work? Does that hole exist on the other one too then? Does it always show through? Oh, that it always shows through. Interesting. Okay. if it always shows through, what is the... Shoot, maybe I shouldn't attempt this. Because then the question is, how do I know what the item is there and what should it do? What should it do? Boy, it would still be really nice to lift that. Be really, really nice to lift that. Okay, well, let's continue, because I kind of want to push this a little bit to see how it goes. Because what I would like to have, this guy doesn't have that much to him. So what we're going to do is we are going to move you up here. We are going to drop you right here. We're going to drop the name because I don't know if it's... Well, we'll leave it for now. We might end up needing it. So grid column 1, by magic, it just lines up. Is read only doesn't give me a... I'm going to have to lift that property. Or I'm going to have to give myself a source to bind to. Now, I think what I can do... So I could give myself an extra property here. I'm already abusing the tag property. I'm kind of thinking that... Let's just give ourselves another property to play with. I think that's the easiest. Right? Is there a cleaner option? I don't think there's a better option. Though this suffix bit gives me a bit of pause. Same with the prefix, because we would end up having to lift. Not just this, but the whole thing. I think that's okay. I think we do it. Tabs rock. Oh, love the screen name. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Trying to figure out how to appropriately, effectively clone these UI elements into the pop-up, because when they're down, this pop-up, and again, I've got dark theme turned on, so that's not helpful. Turn light theme on. This pop-up here, there's a hole in it that shows through to this lower control. And I'm not entirely sure the best way to lift this thing up. I'm kind of thinking that I might just do a template. You know what? No. No. The simplest thing to do, the absolute simplest thing to do, is copy and paste. And I think... Yeah, I think the simplest thing to do is copy and paste. And I think what I actually want to copy is this entire grid. Because this contains not only the text box, it contains the content presenter. Yeah, I think... And then I don't think I need to give myself another property. Okay, so we're going to replace this guy with a lot of stuff. Okay, so... That's a lot, but let's see where that gets us. Okay, so now that we have this, some of these things we can legitimately leave the template bindings here. However, some of these things, like the horizontal content alignment, that one is never going to work. But what I can do, oh, I know what we can do. We can do a data context here. Yes. And we can bind to the pop-up control. So let's do a relative source. relative source ancestor type, ComboBox Popup. So that'll get me all the way up to the pop-up control. And then what I want to do is I want to set the path on that to grab the placement target. And I believe if we go back down here, so the relative source will get me up to the this guy here. Boy, I almost wish I could relative source. Because what I really want to do is get all the way up to the ComboBox control. Yeah, let's just give myself a property on here. That'll probably be simplest. Okay, so oh, that's a lot of stuff. We'll just go at the top for now. Okay, so depend. What is it? Dependency property. Boom. Okay, and this is going to be a ComboBox. And apparently it can't figure out the owner class. That's exciting. And this is not going to be a 0. This is going to be a null. Okay, that'll be good enough. Yeah, we'll expression body these things. Okay, don't want to spend too much time on this. That's not the objective at the moment. Okay, so down here, we'll just do it at the bottom. So the ComboBox property binding. Oh, actually, I could do. Does that work? I've never tried a template binding without a path on it. But the source of the template binding is supposed to be the item being templated, which in this case is in fact the ComboBox. Let's stop execution. I'm guessing the compiler is probably losing its mind with the edit and continue bits. Let's just build real quick, because that little squiggle should disappear after a compile. Once it realizes that yes, there is in fact something there. And no, it is not a bad thing. Whoa. Okay, so it's unhappy about what we did up here. Well, it should be unhappy. So this guy here, because we are templating content, we should be able to do this. And so because we're doing this, we should be able to go ComboBox. And so these things should be able to switch. And this is going to look a little funny. But now I can do this. Because the data context has changed. The data context is the default source for bindings. The data context is now the ComboBox, even though I'm inside of a content control on a pop-up. I've now exposed that ComboBox, set its data context, and all these template bindings can simply be bindings. Poof. This is not going to work though, and it's going to need page up. Ugh. Darn it, page up and page down not working at the same way. This goes like this. So the attached properties are not going to be a straight syntax swap, but we can do that. Okay, so then you just become binding. You become binding. Boom, boom, boom. That goes like that. That goes like that. And, oh, that's an attached property, so we need to wrap him up so it can decode it properly. Binding goes there. Binding goes there. Smart hint. This is probably not going to work. I'll have to look at how to solve that one. That one's going to be a little weird, but for now we won't worry about it. I think it'll get back a null, which will be just fine. It just means the hint stuff is probably not going to work. Let's see, there. Because if this ends up working, this, as much as I hate this, we can then work on separating this into, oh, I don't even know, can I make it shared code? I might not be able to. The hard part is template bindings are evaluated compile time, whereas regular bindings are evaluated runtime, which is why template bindings are more performant, but they also have more limitations as far as how you can do your bindings. But most of the time when you're doing control templates, you will know, effectively they're forwarding your bindings up ahead of time. And you'll know those things at compile time. Most of the time. Most of the time. In this case, we are doing something a little abusive. Just a little. But I think it'll get us really close to a much better solution. Because then I think part of the problem will go away. Because we will not have a click that is now leaving the pop-up control. That is fundamentally part of the issue. Is we've got a click event that occurs, and when the click goes through the middle of that hole on the pop-up, it's now leaving the pop-up and putting focus somewhere else, outside of the pop-up. And the pop-up's going, focus has left me. I should close, just like if the user clicked off to the side. Not quite what we want. Not quite what we want. So by lifting this up, it means the focus is going to remain inside of the pop-up, effectively solving the problem. Okay, almost done. Almost done. And then we test and see how close this got us. And I fully expect that this is going to break a ton of stuff. Because the other thing that this isn't taking into account is triggers. But I think what we can do is we can adjust some of these guys to account for that. This wants an element binding. You know what? We're going to do this. And I'm not going to worry. Here, let's leave it here. To do. We'll need to figure out how to do this. This just means the suffix is going to be not properly offset in the clear button cases. That's fine. I think what we can do in these situations is rather than binding margin to the same setup, I think what I actually want to do is just forward these properties to the lower control underneath them and just get the value that way. That way, as triggers and whatnot change those elements, these things adjust accordingly, and I don't have to duplicate triggers and all that jazz. That just sounds like work. Okay. Let's try this. And right now, success looks like being able to open the page without the app crashing. We're going to set expectations low. Success is just not blowing up. Because then we can start investigating all of the stuff that should work that doesn't. Okay, this is the part where it crashes. Okay, so object reference not set to the instance of an object. Great. What exactly is null? I'm sorry. I'm going to need a little more to go on here. Style helper. Oy vey. We have a very large stack trace. See if we can get more information. So, load deferred content. That's a bit of a clue. That's going to be a template or similar, but we kind of knew that already. It's triggered by an on-property change. So let's see. ComboBox's initialize component calls load component, which loads up the BAML, which was the XAML that got compiled in for that view. Okay, makes sense. Write node through, no, write node did not. Write ending member, do assignment, apply to property value, parse XAML, update tables. Boy, I really wish there was more data on this, because that's not that helpful. Okay, so let's go. Not surprising, it's there. So most likely explanation is something new that we just added. So let's start with, let's keep it simple and say it is something inside of the grid. And let's just make sure we can get that much working. And actually, this grid should be going away too. Let's assume it's something inside of the grid. Very likely. But this at least confirms that we can get our pop-up, get the combo box and the pop-up, and do these relative bindings. That's it. That's what we're going for. Oh, caps lock. Okay, so we didn't even get that far. Okay, so that tells me we might be in this vicinity. And it's possible it's this template. I bet you it's this template binding. So binding, relative source. Let's try this. So this style of binding here with a relative source is very similar to a templated binding. Except for rather than it does the lookup in basically the same way, or at least functions the same way. The big difference is rather than doing it at compile time, it will do it at runtime. And I'm thinking that what's happening, especially with where that error is inside of the BAML stuff, that the template binding with no path is no happy. And I'm wondering if this, ahaha! Okay. So that is better. Okay, so now, so that template binding was in fact the problem. So now let's put all of this back. Okay, edit and continue for the win. Okay, so and then the hint proxy is going to fail. Okay, so that is a bit of an issue. That one where I said don't know how to solve it. We're going to just comment it out for now. Because right now what that will mean is the hint is not going to behave appropriately. Fine, I don't care. I don't care. We'll deal with hint stuff later. Because we've got a hint issue, we've got a suffix issue. Come back to those. Come back to those later. What I want to see is these things actually work. Okay, cannot find resources named material design. So it's having trouble finding the style. Oh, because I've moved it up. Oh, that is subtle. That is subtle. So here's the kicker. This is on line 167. This is on line 257. We are going to fix this by just simply moving it up. You don't have anything that is there. That should get you closer, I think. Okay, so there's that, there's that. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, so that's clearly not right. Things are overlapping on top of each other where they shouldn't be. So something's wrong there. Oh, this guy is not in the column 1, so that's problem. So the one thing I was interested in is if you do that, okay, so we might have to fix this. I think is actually going to work. Obviously this is not, you can see the offset that isn't quite lining up there. That's okay. That is okay. I think this is actually going to make this a little easier. I think this is actually going to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so in order to get this hint working, we're going to need to bind. Oh, oh. No. That back. Okay, in order to get this hint binding, we need to deal with these guys and address that. So this has effectively the same problem here. Actually, this one, why didn't I just fix this? This is not hard to solve. Because this is not relative parent anymore. Because relative parent on the other one was going to be the combo box. And we just set ourselves to the combo box as our data context. So that one's easy. So this, we should be able to fix that hint proxy stuff. Which should make this work mucho better. Okay, so let's, no, wrong window. Come over here. Combo boxes. Okay, so if we go here, aside from seeing double, oh, we're only seeing double because it's able to get all the way through. I think we just need to push this down a little bit and give us some space. But I think we're getting very, very close. Okay. Okay, so that fixes that. The suffix we still need to address, getting access to another element. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that. So the issue that we have here, I think we can get rid of most of these background bits, can't we? I believe what we can do I think a lot of this is about to get a lot simpler because this guy is now just doing the margin. This background now gets inherited. I have a feeling a lot of this stuff is going to boil away into just margins on the root level here in a bit. I think that it's going to get that simple. Let's see. Your background doesn't matter anymore. Your background doesn't matter anymore. Your background doesn't matter anymore. Sweet. That made that simpler. Okay. Okay, so that gets me to there. Let's just relaunch and check and see how that does, because now we should stop seeing double on those hints. And I think that suffix positioning is the only thing left. Yeah, so aside from seeing that thing bounce a little, why am I not able to click on that? So I must have been interacting with the element underneath rather than the one on top. Okay, so let's do Snoop. Nope, nope. Very much Visual Studio. Nope. Okay, so I want to get access. So move you to the side. I would like to look at the thingy that's right there. Okay. So that thingy. Show it to me. It is 0. That thingy is also 0. Interesting. So that, wait. This thing has a data context of ComboBox. This thing has a data text of ComboBox. The content presenter has its data context changed. Okay. That kind of makes sense, unfortunately. The editable text box, though, which is what should be here, does have access to it. Same with the other ones. Okay, that's fine. Content presenter, we might have to fix some bindings on, but we can work with that. So why are you editable text box? Why are you not? I get why you're triggering when I click there, but when I click here, I expect to see the text box. Where are you in this hierarchy? You have height, you have width. Are you just not hit testable? Let's see. Is hit test visible? It's there. Text. You have text. Something covering you? Are you sitting on top and that's... Oh. Are you sitting on top and covering it? Hang on. Visibility. Oh, was I looking at the data context that whole time? Do you have size? I was on the data context tab, not on the text box tab. So you don't actually have size, which is definitely a problem. Text. Let's just put some text in you real quick. Does that give you size? No. Okay, let's look at the template. Why would setting you up like that not allow you to automatically size? So you might be covering, which is very likely, and you always have a visibility of collapsed. Ah, okay, so we are going to need to solve the forwarding for elements problem. Okay. Question being, what is the appropriate way to solve this? I could make properties and forward all of the relevant elements. That's one choice. Is it the best choice? Is there a cleaner way to do this? I don't know if there is. The ComboBox Popup is already a custom pop-up control that is written specifically to support our use of the ComboBox. Forwarding elements is not that big of a deal. It's unlikely that there's going to be a significant number of elements ever added to this. They may change over time. That could be a thing. I'm just trying to take a mental note of what the maintenance cost of this is going to be, because I want to make sure I'm building into something with a lower maintenance cost than what we have. I think that's okay. I think that is okay. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah, I think I am okay with that. So let's do that next. So the ComboBox pop-up. Let's create some stuff. So how about editable text box? So prop dp, boom. You are going to be a text box editable ComboBox editable text box. I think we're going to go with that. Boom, boom. Once again, the default will be null. So let's just test it with that much at play. Let's come down here, and in a similar fashion to how we did that, let's see, ComboBox editable text box. I think I can just do an X reference. Nope. That guy. I think we can do that. And then up here, what this ends up being is we get rid of this. Binding. I think we set the data context on this guy to be binding. And we get rid of where did I set the other one? Oh, this is the wrong place. Those stay there. We go up a little higher to here. And we go So the name can go away off of this because that's not going to matter. What will matter will be the data context. Finding combo. Oh, we need to get this guy removed. And actually, we're going to do something similar here. Boom. So this is going to be ComboBox editable text box. Boom. And I actually don't know if the horizontal alignment or vertical alignment is going to do anything here. I don't think these ones are going to do a darn thing. Because this combo box's position is being controlled here and is auto, having the horizontal alignment of it being left or right isn't going to make a lick of difference. So we're going to ignore that for the moment, I think. Okay, so that goes like that. This becomes binding visibility, binding caret brush, binding is read only, and really at the end of the day this is going to be, we almost want to bind everything, but we're going to leave it like that for now. Okay, so let's fix these guys up for the moment. Xname goes away. Boom. Put that back so that it's not broken. Content presenter is going to remain broken. That guy's going to be fine. These guys will be a little broken. I'll leave that name there just so I keep track of it. Okay, let's see if that gets us a little better. Okay. The method or operation is not implemented. Control is null. Circle back here. Oh, this is because this hint proxy is not going to work. This hint proxy needs to be ComboBox. Let's change up the source of this. Element name, and then the path on this is going to be data context. So we'll cheat and get the ComboBox. This is kind of a weird hacky way of doing it, is it jumps up here and grabs this data context because I know that will be bound to the right thing. This probably needs a cleaner solution. Let's try this. Combo boxes. Really? Oh, is my X reference null? I wasn't 100% sure on that. I bet you that's problematic. Element name. That will do the trick. are still null. I guess the question then is, what is, let's confirm some of these values then. Let's see. So we can look at what is set on the pop-up before the pop-up is shown, which I assume is the problem. So ComboBox is set and ComboBox editable text box is set. The hint proxy, did I edit the wrong one again? No, that's fine. The hint proxy here changes, so this changes the source of the binding from the data context to the element with this name. Is this element's binding wrong? Should be fine. I'm a little surprised that this would throw on that. I'm just trying to avoid having to go through and apply this long, ugly binding to every single one of these things. I don't think that's going to make a difference, but let's try it. Control is null. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do in the interest of simplicity. If control is null, return null. Bang. So this is the nullable reference types that I alluded to earlier. So if you are interested in learning more about them, the user group meeting, which is here. So free event, my boss and I are speaking on them. But if you are at all interested in learning more about nullable reference types in C# and how to make good use of them, that will be a well worthwhile watch. Okay, so let's do that. We'll just short circuit when the control is null, because I kind of want to look at this and figure out why it's null. But I can't do that if it's constantly crashing in my face. Okay, so let's go here and go. Okay, so I would like to take a look at this guy. And specifically, let's see, let's get out of here. This guy here. So your data context is the combo box. Your data context is a text box. And I want to find the, what the heck was it? Smart hint something or another. Hint proxy. So on the smart hint, well, this should have worked. Oh, I wonder if this is an issue of it starts as null and then changes. I bet you that's what it is. I bet you this was working all the while. And just because that converter throws immediately on a null Might have to change the nullability of that thing. Okay. So with that said, though, now I have access to the text box and can type So the only issue, though, is well, not the only issue. There's a number of issues. For starters, the text property of this appears to be getting cleared out. Which is weird. Black. See, it's there, and then if I click, oh, it's still there. It's just that those are now getting out of sync. Okay. Okay. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. We now have access to this. So I should be able to do text, binding, text, and then caret index, binding, caret index, selected text, binding, selected text, right? And selection length, save those. And now as I open this up and at least change this, I should see ape underneath. Okay, so that is fine. Let's see about the selection. Surprising to me that I don't see the selection changing. Huh. Oh, are these... Yeah, so let's kill a thing, because some of these might be read-only. And text, the text property on a text box is special. It has a default binding mode of two-way by default, whereas these ones are not going to. This is also not going to be a dependency property. So that's going to be a problem. Shoot. How do we do this? How do we do this? Because it would be nice to be able to just pick the element up and move it rather than cloning it. Is that even possible? I don't know if you can do that without it changing state. But I'm wondering if I could pick it up and move it into here. I wonder if that would be a cleaner approach. Surprised these bindings aren't complaining. I would have expected these ones to be problematic. Because without a dependency property to bind to, how is that going to work? Yeah, because it can only be set on a dependency property of a dependency object. Not shocking. So that's going to end up not working. Okay, we may have just hit a brick wall on this. I'm not entirely sure how to fix it either. Let's see, how would be a proposed fix? Because you can't have a visual element that's owned by two things, and I need it owned by the combo box, not the pop-up, because the combo box uses that text box on its template to do things like manage the keyboard input. And so on events, there's that interaction back and forth, like what we've seen, where as you're typing, it looks through your items and attempts to find the starts with match. Is this a viable option? Because we could go through the effort of wiring up for the selection events and trying to propagate the appropriate things two-way here. That is a thing we could do. But is it a thing we should do? Let's ask Bing really quick. Let's see. WPF move UI element to a new parent. I wonder. Yeah. Because if it was just a matter of displaying it, you can cheat with like a visual brush or similar and render it multiple times. That's okay. But in this case, we need interaction. Oh, actually, there's an interesting thought. There's an interesting thought. So this idea is probably a bad one, but I'm going to say it out loud just to talk myself out of it. What if, rather than copying the elements up, we put in a canvas or border or whatever, we put in some control into that hole, but rather than a hole, we put, say, a border, and we set its background to be a visual brush of the content below it, and then we make it hit test visible false. That doesn't solve the click problem though. Yeah, like it would probably work to fix the alignment problems, because then the off by 1 pixels wouldn't show through the hole because there would be no hole anymore. But we would still run into the issue of the click moving out of the pop-up, and the whole point was to keep the click and the focus inside of the pop-up. So let's try. Let's just try moving it. How about this? So we're gonna go with content control. X name text box holder. We'll go with grid column 1. So let's try that. And we're going to try to lift that thing up. And so we're going to try to take the text box out when the pop-up's open, put it in the pop-up, and then when the pop-up closes, put it back. That's the theory. Don't know how well this is going to work. Really don't. Okay, so what we want to do is is there already a handler for is open? Property changed. That does some stuff. Does not handle it. I think there is a method for on opened. Boom. Okay, so we want this. Okay, so on opened. Get template child text box holder. So if that guy is content control, we are going to do visual tree helper get parent. Oh, so let's do this. And ComboBox editable text box is not null text box. And visual tree helper get parent text box is not null as well. We have a parent. Okay, so we've got a parent, we've got a text box, and we've got the place where he's going. So we are going to do parent. How about is grid? Like let's hard code this as give ourselves the easiest time as we can. What's its parent? Text box is inside of a grid. Great. Parent children remove text box. Okay. And then we are going to go with CC content gets text box. Boom. So that'll pick it up. Okay, and then we want to handle it on closed, override on closed. So we want to do the reverse of this now. So okay, and this is we don't necessarily care the parent, so this is actually going to be, oh, I don't have the spot to put it back in. But I can get it. How about and ComboBox is ComboBox and ComboBox get template child is protected. Is that the deal? Protected internal. So how do I get his? How about this? Private grid parent. Just do that. Parent gets parent. Again, we are just hard coding for the lulls of it at the moment to make sure that this works. Parent is parent. Okay, so we don't want to remove it from here. What we want to do is I actually don't even care about this anymore. I think we do that. I don't know if that's going to be logical or visual tree though, so that this might be weird, but we'll see. And then what we're going to do is parent children add text box. Okay, we're going to see if this even works. I am halfway expecting this to just blow up in my face. Let's see what happens. Because we could probably get away from this content control altogether too and just reference this grid. Okay, combo boxes. Didn't blow up, but let's confirm that we actually did what we think we did. So on open, go inside the if, no. So let's see, locals, get templated child returned null. So, oh, this is probably, it's because it's not the template for the combo box. It's the template for the grumble, 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 grumble. Okay, so how about, just throw this away. This dot descendants get, there's a there's like a visual tree helper that we have in here that has a helper method. Get visual children. That's what I want. So this, get visual children. I'm looking for ones that are of type content control. First or default. So go and include. Why are you not finding it? This dependency object. Oh, this is in the, oh, hang on. That's in the test project. That's why it's not finding it. Is that the only place this exists? Oh. Let's look for usages of this method. I could have sworn there was something in the main project that was hanging out in there somewhere. Get visual depth first traversal. That will work. Let's see. Copy. This is depth first, not breadth first. Let's go with breadth first. Trying to think of which way is going to land on it first. Ultimately doesn't really matter. Breadth first traversal, we're going to drop that. Okay. So we are going to throw on an of type content control. give me link, need a period, and then this is going to be x dot name text box holder. So I'm only interested in open for the moment. We'll circle back to closed if this actually works. Again, I'm not 100% confident it's going to work. I'm pretty skeptical, actually. Okay. Let's see. Locals, where did it stop? Breadth first traversal of type. So that's a little shocking. Oh, I bet you this is supposed to be this dot child or content. Let's try that. I'm a little shocked though that the pop-up itself, its visual thing wouldn't be a child. Maybe. I don't really feel like debugging that at the moment. Okay, boom, boom. Oh, we got inside. Excellent. Let's turn you off. We actually hit the mark. So that clicking on the text box closed it. I can't remember if that's expected or not. Oh, that actually totally worked. Okay. Wow. I mean, if that's going to work, we could probably make this could probably be a viable solution. Just think about this, if there's any drawbacks. No, this would be ideal. Now, let's want to think all the way through the ramifications of this. So it did close the pop-up when that thing received the click. But I can't remember if that is expected behavior or not. I think it is. How could I test that? I guess what should it be when you click on it? I mean, the focus already moves into it. I kind of like that. That's probably easiest because at the point you're interacting with that, it now behaves very similar to the WPF text box, which I think is the correct behavior. I'm going to check this in. It's getting late for me, but I want to not lose my work. Playing around with lifting the controls directly into the pop-up. I'll push that in case anybody wants to play with it. But I'm thinking that might be a nice, useful solution because if the controls are up in the pop-up, I think that would solve the other bug in question. I think it would. Simply because at that point The focus is inside of the pop-up, not outside of it. Because pop-ups are a lightweight window that dismiss when you click away from them. And I think that would make all the difference. Okay, cool. I think I like that idea. So I think with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. I will drop a link in the chat again if you are interested in the user group meetups. Highly recommend. Great way to learn more and sharpen your skills. If you're in the Spokane area, great way to meet other developers. If you aren't, I'd encourage you to at least look up user group meetings in your area. Chances are there are probably some around there. It is always a good way to network with local companies in the area. You never know when it might lead to new job opportunities. On that note as well, if you are either in the Spokane area or interested in being in the Spokane area, my company is hiring. Here, real quick, I'll grab the link. So if you are out there and you are interested in doing it, I will grab the link at a later point. So there is normally a careers page buried underneath Intelitech.com. Apparently somebody's doing maintenance on the site right now, so I am unable to actually grab it. It's like careers, I think, at the top. So, but if you are interested, we are hiring for a variety of positions, including C# developers, Python developers, and I think site reliability engineer, SRE, as well. So if something like that is interesting to you, contact information on the website. And with that, I will say happy coding. Look forward to seeing everyone next time. Bye.